Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're diving deep into the profession system in Project Epoch and how it compares to Blizzard's original World of Warcraft vanilla or classic, however flavor of ice cream you want. Whether you're torn between alchemy and blacksmithing or thinking skinning and mining are the best ways to make gold, this video is going to shift your perspective. And I'll say it right now, I'm not a proponent of taking gathering professions for gold making. Let other people do the dirty work. I'd rather buy materials off the auction house and turn them into high demand craftable items that sell for profit. That's the play. Let's break it down. Now, in the background, I'm going to have just the WoW vanilla cinematic playing. I'd love to have some gameplay for you, but unfortunately, servers aren't up for a couple more days. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Uh, but anyway, fluff will be at the end of the video. Let's move on. First, we're going to talk about alchemy. In Classic, Alchemy gave you access to raid buffs, basic flasks, potions. In Project Epoch, it's a next level. You get Mixology, a bonus that gives you a 100% increased elixir and flash duration and a 25% increase in their effect. That's huge. Philosopher's Stone is now an equipable, upgradable trinket. It even increases healing from potions, and it may have further effects later on once we see the fully upgraded version. There's also new recipes, reputation elixirs, which I think will be huge sellers, ranged and melee AP flasks, and if you're an alchemist, you're going to stand out. You can pair it with herbalism. Um, that's really good for like solo players or people who just really want to zone out and grind. But once again, I'll say it, buy the herbs, focus on crafts, sell the goods. You'll be able to make more gold with two crafting professions than you will with a crafting and a gathering profession. Next, I want to touch on blacksmithing. Now, classic blacksmithing was always useful, really good with like the Lion's Heart helm for tanks, warriors in particular. Epoch gives it a major glow up. You get an ability called Repair All, instantly fixes all your gear. It comes in two ranks with cooldowns of 8 hours and 4 hours. I think this is a really big draw for blacksmithing because when you break this down, especially for plate wearers, which are primarily what your blacksmiths are going to be, if you break that down over a year or two and the cost of repairs for plate wearers, you're talking about easily thousands of gold that could save you. And blacksmiths can also craft belt buckles, which are going to be huge sellers. We've seen similar versions of that in uh, Blizzard's version of WoW, and the belt buckles always sell. They're permanent enchants for belts that increase all stats. They come in four different tiers: silver, iron, mithril, and arcanite. You'll see that in a few different of the professions. I like the tier system. I love how it gives you something to work towards, and it gives you something that low-level blacksmiths can use, and also high-end blacksmiths can use. Plus, of course, you'll have tons of new weapons, tanking gear, thrown weapons. You can pair it with mining, but like I said, just don't get a gathering profession. Just don't. Let other people do the dirty work for you. Next, I want to bring up enchanting. Uh, Epoch really brings enchanting to a whole new level. First, you can enchant your own rings, which is something we've seen before. It give you some spell power, attack power, stamina, and there's 5 tiers. You can transmute small shards into long ones on large ones on a 20-hour cooldown. And now enchanters can craft staves, wands, and offhands along with your usual enchants. Now, I imagine in Epoch fashion, we will see um, new enchants that we haven't seen before on Classic, and I'm really looking forward to that. Um, I'm also curious if they're going to add something like a vellum system to where you can put enchants on like a scroll and then sell the scrolls on the auction house. That would be amazing. It really saves on spam of people spamming trade. You've seen it on classic servers. just person after person after person spamming their enchanting. I think vellums are a great way to avoid that. Um, Chanting has always been paired really well with tailoring. Allows you to craft gear and disenchant it. Creates a nice loop system there where you can get the extra cloth from tailoring, use that to craft gear to skill up your tailoring, and then it helps you with TSM and other add-ons. You can find profitable cycles where you can find gear that when you craft it and disenchant it, the items it disenchants to is worth more than the crafted item or the materials used to craft the item. Gives you a bit of a profit and something that you can do while AFK watching YouTube videos. Did it for many years. Speaking of tailoring, that's going to be next. Epoch's tailoring feels really rewarding. Tailors get access to cloak embroideries, multiple tiers of that, with bonuses like spell power, attack power, and stamina. You also get cloth scavenging, which Blizzard introduced in Wrath of the Lich King, which I thought was fantastic. Really gave tailors really let them shine, stand out, gave them a little more access to their materials versus your regular everyday person. It does lower the price of cloth on the auction house, but we'll see how it bounces. We don't exactly know the percentages just yet, but we'll see how that pans out. On top of that, they've reworked Mooncloth pieces with new gear recipes. Perfect profession to combine with enchanting or alchemy. Next is leatherworking. Project Epoch's leatherworking brings a lot of different changes. First, you get some bracer kits that add spell power, attack power, or stamina. You can get a crafted saddle that boosts your mount speed by 5%. I really hope they have some wordplay or something as far as like carrot on a stick. It'd be really cool if you could, like the icon showed a saddle with like a carrot hanging off the side or something. I'd love that. And then they have expanded dragon scale and elemental patterns. So if you're leveling fast and you want utility, this is a strong pick. You can pair it with skinning. Skinning, I will say, is one gathering profession that's okay to take at the beginning of a server launch. It helps you get some extra silver by skinning and selling the skins to a vendor. You can do that with any other uh, profession. I just find it's better to start with two crafting professions because the time you invest in skinning, you could be investing in something else. But like I said, I'm okay with skinning. If that's something you want to do, make a little extra money at the start, no problem. But if you're not a leather worker, you're probably going to drop skinning probably before, right at or before level 40. Next up, I want to talk about engineering. Engineering is the utility king. PvPers are going to be taking engineering 100%. You've got your explosives, you've got your gadgets, your PvP tools. They're all here. But in Epoch, in Project Epoch, they're going to keep some balance. No stat bonus. You don't get any bonuses for engineering like you do other professions because it is very popular. You do get some new schematics, including one inspired by future expansions. And then you, they keep the Goblin Gnome engineering paths with, they've added more toys and tricks as you come to expect from Project Epoch. And then, of course, mining is a usual pairing with engineering, um, but you don't need to gather to make gold. I'm going to say this over and over. I hope it hits home. So, for those who want to make gold, enchanting, tailoring, alchemy, pick two of those three. It's hard to go wrong. Blacksmithing, leatherworking, those are a bit more niche. Engineering, depending on what is available and how many of the items require engineering to use, could determine how profitable engineering could be. That's always been an issue of engineering and making money off engineering, is a lot of the items require engineering in order to use, which really limits your audience on the auction house. Great thing about the Enchanting, Tailoring, Alchemy, um, all three of those things you can find without the gathering profession. You can find herbs in chests. You can find it off mobs, uh, and then you can buy it off the auction house, of course. Tailoring humanoids, they drop cloth. Boom. You don't have to have a secondary gathering profession for it. Same with enchanting. You collect the greens and blues and stuff, and you can send them to an alt to disenchant. If you know you want to have an enchanter on a different tune, or if your main character is your enchanter, you can funnel all the greens and blues from your alts to your enchanter. Either way, it really saves you from having to have a gathering profession. Speaking of gathering professions, you get your they do have some cool bonuses. Herbalism gives you some magic resistance. Mining gives you a stamina bonus, and skinning increases your damage versus beasts and dragonkin. Of the three, I think skinning is probably the weakest. I could see dragonkin bonus being pretty good in Blackwing Lair. The rest, and the beasts, probably hit or miss, maybe CG if that comes out. Um, the stamina bonus could be a really good bonus for tanks. So I could see mining, blacksmithing for tanks just to get that stamina bonus. Um, but once again, not the best for making money. Let someone else farm, you craft. Now you've got your secondary professions. These are always fun. Not always the best money makers. You've got first aid, heals more due to increased health pools because they're pulling from TBC. Also used in quests, so bandages are going to be in more demand, but I still don't think they're going to be very valuable. Cooking, uh, there's always going to be some value in cooking, and if you pair it with fishing, which is one of my favorite secondary professions, um, can really make some money. So with cooking, you're going to have black coffee and juicy bear burgers, and with fishing, they're going to have lava fishing, which I think is really cool. Reminds me of the special fishing things like they found in Zol Grub, where you could fish up a boss. I hope they do more things like that. Fishing has always been one of my favorites. But you'll have daily quests, achievements, tackle boxes. Like I said, these aren't about gold. Fishing can make you a good bit of gold. I remember when I played original Vanilla WoW back in 2004, 2005. One of the first farms I did to make gold was oily blackmouth off the dock of Menethil Harbor for oily blackmouth. Great. So yeah, just to wrap things up, I want to briefly touch on the mention of Epoch's roadmap that they showed a few days ago, and they mentioned weekly profession quests. I'm on the fence on this one. Weekly quests can add the feeling of a chore, and depending on how they're implemented, it could go either way. If the weekly quests are tied to cosmetic rewards or bonus catch up materials, that's great. Then you don't feel the pressure of having to do it. But if it's mandatory for progression or tied to best in slot recipes, then we might be looking at something that could burn people out over time. We'll have to wait and see how it's rolled out, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Project Epoch has taken professions and given them depth, identity, and actual impact on your gameplay. Crafting is better, bonuses are smarter, and if you're in it for gold, don't waste time gathering. Buy low, craft smart, sell high. If this video helped, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and drop a comment letting me know what profession setup you're running in Epoch. Catch you in the next one.